All right, let's go out to Baton Rouge and talk to Heather. What's up, Heather?
Hey, Dr. John. Thank you so much for taking my call. I'm doing okay. I wanted to tell you, first of all, just how much my husband and I both just appreciate you and all the work that you're doing. I finished your book, Building a Non-Anxious Life, last night, actually, and it's been helping me so much, and so thank you for that. And
thank you.
Yes. So I'm hoping, I'm choosing freedom, and with that, I'm going to go into my question. And
all right, let's do it.
Hopefully, you can, help me out. All right. So my question is, how do I love and respect my parents and other extended family members while setting boundaries to protect my marriage and my children? And to give you some background, I can just talk about a recent event that happened when we were visiting my family recently.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So we faced these issues several times when we visit my family, but became a little more obvious this time with my dad. He tends to be just usually annoyed with our kids when we're there, like by the noise they make, the messes they make. He speaks in a belittling and condescending way, not just to my children, but he's always spoken that way to my mom and to us as kids and many people. So that's an issue that seems to be getting worse. And then my mom doesn't always agree with our parenting styles and thinks we should just turn on the TV anytime the kids are getting rowdy. And we really try to limit screen time. And my husband and I felt led to become Catholic this year. So that's something that we're kind of on a journey on. And so we take like prayer and going to church very seriously. And when we get our kids up in the morning, when we're there to go to church, she gets upset by the fact that we're not spending time with them, that we're going to church. And then the last relationship that we kind of deal with when we're there is my sister and her kids. She kind of gives her kids full access to phones, internet, and her kids are a little bit older than ours, and they're learning about, my 9-year-old niece has already learned about like what sex is. And so we have kids that are much younger. And so we're just trying to protect them. And it feels like when we go, we're kind of just having to constantly kind of monitor our kids and protect them from things that are happening around their house. So I'm just hoping that you can give me some guidance on how we can still build a relationship with them, but like how to set boundaries with them.
Yeah, you bet. All right, so there's a couple of things here. One, just off the top of my head, 9-year-olds should know about sex. That should be an ongoing conversation, but they should not find out about it via their cell phones or the internet. They should find out about that from trusting adults in their life. So that's just an aside. All right, so I think we've got love and respect all sideways, okay? Love and respect requires, as a fundamental core principle, as a building block, a cornerstone of love and respect is boundaries. Love and respect does not mean that you have to do whatever somebody else wants of you. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you grew up in a home where you're always belittled and your dad flexed on the people that he was supposed to love, that meant that y'all's job was to curate a world where dad was never, his feathers were never ruffled. Because he was a peacock who liked to really shine and kick up those tail feathers. So the goal of the house, mom, you, your siblings, the goal was to keep the peace, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Mom has been putting up with this for what, 25, 30 years? How old are you?
I'm 33. They've been married for 40 years.
Okay, so for 40 years, her job every day is to make sure he's not pissed off.
Yeah.
That's how she stayed safe. That's how she stayed, quote unquote, out of trouble. That's how she manufactured a little pocket of safety inside of her world. Okay, so let's set that over to the side for a second. Often when people grow up in that, are in a relationship like that, they look to the next lowest person on the rung, if you will, and they extract that similarly. But they often do it from the bottom up, not the top down. Here's what I mean. Your dad is huge. He comes over the top. He's a big, loud male, and he may be 5'2". I don't know how big he is, but he's got this presence that is, I can't tell those kids to be quiet. Or he doesn't say anything. That way he can kind of act indignant when somebody calls him on it. But he gets all tense and he goes around huffing and puffing and picking up the toys that the kids left out really heavy, right? Or he goes shh real loud, like he's just real abrasive. Mom, on the other hand, is, oh, you mean you're just going to go to church and we're just not going to have breakfast? Okay, I guess we'll just eat here by ourselves then. If that's more important to you, then okay. It's the same exact move, just underneath the boat. She's dragging it underneath it instead of on top of it. Does that ring a bell?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Okay. So that is one person who has been using the other person to get the life he wants, not as a partnership, but as basically an extended parent. And then your mom does that to the next lowest person, which is her kids. Okay?
Yeah.
So everything is about peace and everything's about comfort. And what you and your husband have chosen to do is to do something opposite, to head into a relationship with your kids, which is messy and hard. It is easy to dump them in front of a TV. You know why? How I know that? I did it last night.
Yeah.
My wife and my son were out at a church event. My daughter was chaos, and I needed to finish some stuff. And I said, hey, you know what? I know it's a school night. Do you want to go watch a show? And her eyes lit up, and she was like, oh, my gosh. Dude, she ran up there. You know what I got done in that 30 minutes? I got so much done. And it wasn't that big of a deal on a one-off. But if that was my default every day, all the time, I'd be failing my kid, right? Y'all have chosen to not do that. Y'all have chosen to head into it. How old are your kids?
6, 3, and 2.
Okay, you know what 6, 3, and 2-year-olds are? Loud.
Yeah.
And running around and chaotic, and they break things and they test things and they're curious and they hit their head on things and they don't put things away. That doesn't mean that y'all are failing. That means y'all are growing kids that are using the whole world as a laboratory for how things work and how things feel, right?
Yes.
And your parents are opting out of that world. You also have chosen to not give your kids unfettered access to the internet. Y'all have chosen not to let them be raised by screens. Your sister's not made that choice. And so she's opting out of their life. Here's what this means. I cannot love and respect somebody if every time I'm around them, I'm on defense or I'm slowly being suffocated. Okay?
Yeah.
So the best way I can love and respect somebody is to have clear and firm and loving boundaries. That doesn't mean avoidance. I think we have used the word as avoidance as I can never be in contact with you. And I think that's an overreaction, particularly by younger generations. I don't think we have to do that. But I'll go hang out with you. And I'm going to be really clear. Hey, if you say that joke about these people, I don't want to be around it. I'm going to leave. And then they'll make the joke and you'll go, all right, hey guys, y'all take it easy. I'm out. Oh, are you serious? Yeah, I was pretty clear about that. I don't think it's funny. I'm out. Y'all have a good one, guys, and I'll catch y'all next time. And I'll come back. Those are my friends. Those are my family members. And I'm going to be clear again. Hey, just FYI. And if they do it again, then what they're saying is, we don't want you here. We would rather tell this joke about this group of people than have you here. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
I found out that there's a group of my friends who I love who have different jokes when I'm around than when I'm not. And you know what? I freaking love that because that is so respectful of my boundaries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So similarly, I think it's worth a very direct and a very loving conversation. You're 33 years old. You have 3 kids. How long have you been married?
9.5 years.
Almost a decade. You know what it's time for? Grown-up conversations with grown-ups.
Yeah.
That's a coffee, taking your dad out to coffee. Hey, Dad, can I take you out to coffee? Sure. Hey, Dad, every time my kids come over to your house, this is going to be a hard conversation. Everything about your body language tells me you don't want us here and you don't want them here. That somehow you think I'm failing as a parent. And I actually think I'm a pretty good parent and my kids are great. But you belittle us, you talk down to us, you get mad at us. And here's the thing, I want them to have you in their life, but I can't have that. And me saying that to you, you imagining yourself having that conversation, what does it feel like?
It doesn't feel comfortable. I haven't had a conversation about this exact thing, but I have had conversations when I bring things up to my dad in the past, and it doesn't go well.
Okay.
He plays it down. He turns it back on me and doesn't listen.
Do you have that in the moment or off to the side, like in a prearranged time?
I can remember specifically one time in college when I specifically just pulled him off to the side when he was reading or something and tried to have a conversation with him. And
okay. Well, my recommendation is to try it again. And this is why. You want to know that you entered into an uncomfortable situation and you retained your dignity and you treated everybody with love and respect. And I think love and respect often requires discomfort and honesty and clarity. If you just disappear and decide to not go, I think that can be cruel. And you end up becoming just like him.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of belittling him to his face like he does to you, you belittle him under the water. He sucks. I don't want him around our kids. We're not going to go anywhere we're at. Now, I have a rule that I only talk if somebody is going to hear me. I don't speak just to have spoken. That's what the social media world is. That's politicians. I don't speak if I can't be heard. And so if you think in your guts, dude, he can't hear a word I'm saying, then cool, don't have that conversation. And same with your mom. I think it's worth taking mom out for coffee and saying, hey, Mom, we have drawn a line when it comes to screens. We're just not going to do it. It's not how we're going to raise our kids. It's not. And so I want that to stop being an expectation in this house. And I understand if our kids are too loud, then we're just gonna not have them here. We're gonna not have them here, and we're gonna roll out. But all that to say is, whatever your boundaries happen to be, the way you demonstrate that you love and respect your parents is by being very clear, kind, respectful if possible. I mean, always respectful, but kind if possible. Have the clear conversation, and then they get to respond however they want to. Immature. Like you said, turn it back on you, blame you. And my God, how heartbreaking and lame it is for a child to sit down with their parent and say, hey, here's how I experience you, and for them to make it their kid's fault. So ridiculous, and I hate that happened to you. I hope it didn't happen again. If your sister's kids are handing out phones and your 9-year-old's talking about sex with a 6-year-old and you're not comfortable, then don't have them around. Cool. Maybe have the conversation with your sister. Hey, tell your 9-year-old to stop talking about sex with us, with my kids, please. Have that conversation. Are you kidding me? Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. That's a big deal to me. And here's the deal. They may all opt out of relationship with you for a season. That will hurt so bad. But kind of like surgery, to get out the cancer, get out a tumor, they have to cut you. They have to cause you pain. Hurt your body, if you will, to get out the bad stuff. If your family opts out, it will hurt, but it will also be removing a group of people who say they love you on one hand and spit on your boundaries and values in the other. So it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. You're going to have to grieve it. And it puts an end to this madness. Or what I think is going to happen is, as a 33-year-old who's been married for a decade with 3 young kids, they might hear you. And I would start the conversation like this. This is really hard for me. I'm scared to have this conversation. I'm nervous about it, so I'm going to fumble through it a little bit. But I'm going to ask that you please treat me as an adult as we talk through this. I know that's pie in the sky for some of you listening. You're just laughing. You're just like, dude, my dad would never hear that call. But I think it would shock you how many parents would be honored, hurt, but honored to be approached that way by their adult kids. Most people want to be connecting most of the time. They just don't know how. And if you have this conversation and give your parents a roadmap, at least you're giving them a chance. Thank you so much for the call, Heather. I'm really, really grateful for you.